yourself up. At this time, I would like to welcome Reverend Canon Dr. William Danaher of Christ Church, Cranbrook, to offer a reflection.
It is a deep honor for me to be here today and to be with you all today in this incredibly holy space and to experience with you the heartbreak that you are experiencing today and to have my own heart broken. The theme of this service is love thy neighbor, and I suppose the best way to talk a bit about that is to talk about what it means for me to be in relationship with my good friend Imam Amasmari and with Mark Miller, Rabbi Mark Miller. There are two of the religious leaders that I got to know first when I came here from Canada and moved to this area to take head of Christ Church, Cranbrook. And my work in Canada had been with the Muslim community, believe it or not. I spent a lot of time working with that community and building relationship with them. And that meant living in deep relationship, going to funerals together and wakes together and having meals together and spending time together and standing with them together when they were being challenged by the community. And all of that meant that the minute that I heard about the shooting in New Zealand, I immediately saw in my mind's eye the mothers and fathers, the brothers and sisters, the beautiful children, the peaceful people going about their day to worship God. And I knew instinctively what kind of space that they were inhabiting in that moment. And my heart broke. And I am grateful for that breaking of my heart, because it means that I have stepped one more step closer to what it means to love my neighbor as myself, you see. Because what happens when we love our neighbor as ourselves, the first thing that happens is we begin to experience empathy. You begin to have that moment in which you close the distance between yourself and your neighbor. And that empathy is so important for us right this moment, because what happened in that mosque, the terrorist attack that happened in that mosque, that was designed to destroy empathy and trust between our communities. Let us not be deceived. Let us not say that this was the work of a madman. It was the work of an evil man, but not a madman. It was a direct strategy of terror. And keep in mind that the Latin root of the word terrorism is terrare, which is to cause someone to tremble, to cause them to distrust. And this kind of terrorism is something that we have seen time and time again. It is, by design, meant to break apart the ties between us, the trust between us. And it does so in theatrical acts of violence that are meant to kind of force us into a kind of narrative in which we begin to distrust one another. So the imperative to love one another is not something that is given to us as a kind of ideal that floats above the realities of our life. The imperative to love one another is something that has to be embodied, which is why I am so grateful for each and every one of you here today. I know because my wife is the CFO of Temple Bethel, which means I have close intimacy with that community. And people always ask me who are not Jewish, they say, is she Jewish? And I said, of course, I'm sorry. And of all the things that I have been able to witness and experience with my brother, Muhammad, and the work that he has done in this community and all of the people of this mosque, it is important that we are here today because the love of neighbor means we stand together and we have our hearts broken together. It's a good thing that the alarm system went off. It really was by design, because that's a wake-up call. That's telling us that something is going on in our world. you and I have to do a kind of audit of our faith traditions, a kind of terrorism audit of our faith traditions. We have to think about the ways in which we think about the other, the ways in which our histories and our narratives have been twisted and shaped to destroy the relationships between us by design, not by a madman, by design. And that symbolic construct has to be destroyed. And Christians have to take part in the dismantling of their own terrorist elements. That is what it means for us to love our neighbor as ourselves. And so today is a moment in which I pledge that from my perspective. I pledge that with all my power. I pledge that with everything that I am. I pledge that in a way that I know is going to need help. I cannot do this without my brother and sister Christians, but I also cannot do it without each of you. Because I learned how to love my neighbor best when I encountered people who were most unlike me and invited me to change. So for the wonderful holy space here today, for the ways in which we have gathered together, and so to remember ourselves as one, and for those mothers and fathers and those brothers and sisters and those beautiful children, we give thanks to God. And we ask that God would welcome them into his arms. And that God would teach us as we read in Surah 49, which is known in English as the dwellings or the Al-Hadarat, that God has made us and placed us on this earth so that we might know one another. Thank you.